Well, Paul, hold on one moment. That was kind of fun, wasn't it, Michael?
Yeah, that was great. Thanks for that, buddy.
Yeah. Made his job editing a lot fun. Well, kind of moving on. That calmed Paul down a little bit. We had to boot him there for a second, but
Put the ad break in there. No one will notice.
Bojan was the last player we left on. Paul,
Yep.
can you tell us who's next?
We have Raheem Edwards, left winger / left back, who plays for LA Galaxy. He made 4 appearances for the national team.
I love Raheem Edwards, but I don't know where to put him. I'll be honest.
He recently looked like he was getting back into form where he could get a potential call up, but then he fell through again. To me, he's just a passport player at this point. Unfortunately, he won't get that call.
Yeah, I think it's too little, too late, having had no involvement in any Canada squads for a while now, or hasn't had any minutes.
And it looked close. He looked like he was getting back involved, but
hope is not lost. But for now, it's the get a new passport tier.
Yeah.
And next, I believe we have Atiba, the Moose Hutchinson. I don't think that's his name. Is that his name?
I think his nickname's the Octopus, I'm sure.
Something like that. Either way, Hutchinson's next.
He scored one of the most gracious and fucked up goals in any World Cup qualifying ever, with his back laying down.
Yeah.
That is. Someone's drawn a diagram, and I showed it to a buddy, and he's like, "I still don't know how that happened."
So, unfortunately, with his age, though, do we only put him as starter and not elite?
The only thing I want to put him in as elite is simply because of the pure volume of experience on the international stage, where he could really help, not for the playing ability, but just in his ability to get everybody in line and possibly keep their heads in check.
He's a legend.
Yeah, he's got his own legend here for sure, but I think in this one,
to me, I have him as a starter, unfortunately, at this moment in time, just because of his age.
I
don't know if he's actually going to be able to play.
Yeah, as much.
See, it's the not being able to play thing that, he's made no appearance. He's basically made no appearances. It was up in the air if he was even going to be able to play at all in the World Cup. We still don't quite know. I think at best he'd be impact sub. Because you don't want him burned into the ground, having to keep up with the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Luka Modric in midfield and those.
Yeah, but the thing is, though,
those midfield, I think he'll be best served as an impact sub with half an hour to go, where there's not so much demand on him. And look, I agree. I think on the pitch for me, it's impact sub, but I think everything he brings to the table, there is certainly an argument for elite. All that experience he brings, and just the sort of it's a brilliant story. It's one of the best stories in Canadian soccer. This guy who has been around for 20 years. He's involved in so much, from the heartbreak in the 2007 Gold Cup to the Honduras game, and for this to be his last dance is a beautiful story. I think he will be an impact player, an impact sub, but I wouldn't disagree if you guys want to put him higher.
I just have him simply as a starter because I think for his name alone gets him at least a start. And I think if he's fit enough, he plays more. I don't think he plays more than 45, 50, maybe 60 minutes. But I have him as a starter.
I just think from pure experience, the same. Just experience and keeping level head. I think he's going to want him in that squad if he can. That he's just going to want it to keep those young bucks from just going wild. Right. And we've seen that when he's not there tends to be a little bit of disorganization, or people getting very tempered, like very hot headed. Yeah. And I think he might be able to, because especially for the World Cup, there's going to be no excuse. There's no excuses there. You can't do CONCACAF shit at the World Cup.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Right. And moving on, Mr. CONCACAF shit himself, Kyle Larin. I only say that because he likes to score against our big teams like Mexico. To me, he's a starter. I don't know if he's elite. He does have the #1 goals for Canada soccer in history. He's been a great player in recent years, but again, recent years there was a time where he wasn't getting called for a reason. But he's caused shit together. He's been a very impactful player, but I think he doesn't go above elite to me, especially with minutes right now with Club Rouge. He's a starter in my opinion.
I think if circumstances were different, if he maybe chose his move more carefully, like you said, he's getting more regular minutes somewhere, there is a possibility for elite. But I ultimately think, if Jonathan David is in the elite Alphonso Davies tier, and that's where Kyle Larin has to be, I don't think Kyle Larin is on Jonathan David's level. So, technically, I think he's starter, which is nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
He falls into that tier of like somewhere between elite and starter. But like, if Canada could only play, say, one striker in a game in the World Cup, they're going to play David, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We have Stepian Eustáquio. We all know
Oh,
the
my
legend
favorite.
he's been. To a lot of people, he's our most crucial player.
Yeah.
I will put him elite just for simply a fact. I think we'll get canceled on YouTube if we don't do it.
Also, I think you have to be elite when the rule of thumb is there a corner? Why is it not Eustáquio?
Yeah.
Like you, if you see anyone else running up to that corner, it's not Eustáquio. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
No, bad. Don't
Go move Mustache Man in.
Mustache Man.
Like maybe Davies and David are pound for pound better footballers, but like, I think because of the position Eustáquio plays, I think he is the key to Canada. Like without him, this is an entirely different team. He's so good in that midfield, and he can play defensively. He can play like further up. He's very robust. He's very robust like that. Can go box to box. His delivery is outstanding. He's such an intelligent footballer. Like he's always like knows what he's doing. He's got eyes in the back of his head at times. You see at Porto, he's had to wait a little bit to break in, but he seems completely undroppable now. He's doing fantastic in the Champions League. I think if he can keep this form up for maybe a little bit longer, I will happily say like he is on that Davis and David level. Right now, I'm fully confident putting him in elite. Like as far as I'm concerned, he's the highest player in that elite category for me. I think Steven Eustáquio is that good. And I think if Canada are going to win any games this World Cup, he is going to be the key to it, more so than Davis or Davids.
We love you, Mustache Man.
I love you, Mustache Man.
we love him. Everyone loves him. But moving on to the player who, in my opinion, I have no idea if he is going to start. I have no idea.
Waterman, unfortunately, not a starter.
Yeah,
I think he's a squad player. I don't think we're going to get much minutes of him, if any. I think if we would have saw it already. Squad player. I think he'll be there. Not much more.
Yeah, it's hard to say anything high for a guy who's had 0 appearances for Canada so far, but he's kind of been peaking at the right time. Like him getting included into the October squad, it just felt like the most natural thing in the world for him to usurp Henry in that position. He's been good for CF Montreal. He's been flying the flag fantastically for the CPL. I don't think he'll play at the World Cup, but like I certainly think he's got like there could be a long future ahead of him there in the Canadian national team, especially with the next guy we're going to talk about, his age. He's going to have to get there sooner rather than later, and it can easily be Waterman.
Yeah. Speaking of next, another Portuguese guy, Steven Vitória. Again, he's up there with Hutchinson when it comes to games with the not necessarily games, sorry, but like
legendary status.
Legendary status is he's one of few guys who have been here. Like when we lost some of those tough games before Herdman came in, right? He's one of few of the guys that were there for all this, and he's one of the few who's lasted the ridicule, lasted the struggle, and he's one guy who's came up and said, "Hey, I'm still here and I want to play." He's a starter. Not much more to me. He's a starter. He'll be beside Kamal Miller type thing.
Yeah, I feel like we can't have both centre backs be in the elite tier. I'm more than comfortable putting him in the starter tier. I think like he's
also like 38 type thing. So
35. Like this will be like just the same as like Hutchinson. Same as Hutchinson. This is going to be his last dance for Canada. And
to be fair, Hutchinson, in all fairness, could fucking probably still play the next World Cup.
Vitória might get a Gold Cup, but I doubt it. I think the World Cup will be his thing, and they'll start looking at younger centre backs to start bringing into the system, like you said, Waterman.
I just hope he can keep his temper in check. That's all I can hope for. So
Vitória's pretty good. I mean, he does have a hot head, and I think he's more smart with it. If it's a game where they feel like they're already out of, maybe we'll see more Vitória.
The only problem I have is that VAR is so malicious. We all saw it in the 2018 World Cup. It's so maliciously used. That had more red cards in like the first 3 games than like any World Cup ever. So it's just a scenario where I worry that he thinks he might be able to get away with something. And
hopefully not. And he plays in Portugal. He might know a little bit more of the familiarity again. But
yeah. So
no way to get CONCACAF.
Oh boy. Moving on.
We have
what are we thinking about?
Ike Ugbo Forward,
Ugbo.
8 appearances for Troyes, I believe that's pronounced. They play in
Trois.
League 1.
It's pronounced Trois.
He's he's literally been used as an impact sub up to this point in his career with Canada under John Herdman. So I don't see any disagreement with putting him in that impact sub position. I would have liked to see him score at this point. Like, he had a good chance against Qatar, but
Great chance,
I still don't feel like I've seen that much of him to fully judge. Like, his one start was against Honduras when it was basically, was there even grass at that point?
There was already
was
mud
the pitch even grass at that? It was playing. They were playing the game in Atlantis at that point.
They were playing water polo. Like, they were playing water polo.
I agree. Ugbo is an impact sub. Now, is he gonna be actually impactful? I don't know, but I like to think I like to hope he will be.
Yeah.
And even if there's injuries on the squad, I still don't think he's a starter. I still, regardless, comes on as a sub. So I am going to put. I mean, I think we all agree impact sub at the most.
Yeah. Use his speed, use his strength, use his youth. Absolutely.
Because we know he's gonna get subbed on. I don't think there's a scenario where he just sits as a squad player. I don't think that's
So, Scott Kennedy.
So how many center backs do we have so far right now? We've got
in the starter.
Just in the squad, we've got Vittoria, Waterman, Miller. Did we put Cornelius in there? I don't think we did we?
No.
So we do have room for one more centre back.
Cornelius, we put in the impact sub.
5 centre backs in the squads.
I don't think
that seems like too much. That seems too much to me.
Yeah, I don't think Scott's gonna be making the trip out there.
I would rather. I feel like Kennedy would get the nod above Cornelius, but I mean, to be honest, neither of them are going to start anyway. So
yeah.
But if there's an injury, I think they're more comfortable with Kennedy getting a start over Cornelius.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. It's a hard press.
I mean, I would swap them, but like I've been outvoted before.
But where do you want to put them? You don't want to put them in squad. You want to put. I'm not putting someone like Cornelius or Kennedy in a new passport. I don't like. That's like telling them.
That's what I call it. We've got to be fucking brutal here.
That's like telling them to fuck off. That's not the case.
I would almost put him in kind of get a new passport.
You put Candy in a new passport.
Yeah, I just on appearances alone. He's still good. He's a good player, but I'm trying to think of just maximum volume.
I'd have him over Cornelius.
So we're gonna swap him over for Cornelius then.
I would swap. If
that's what I want to do.
If that's what you guys are coming down to, I'll swap.
Let's swap them.
All right, sorry, Cornelius. Cornelius, I want you to know.
Good night, sweet prince.
You'll be back. It's not goodbye, sweet prince.
Okay.
I mean,
this guy's good night, sweet prince. Tesho Akindele.
Okay, Akindele, yeah.
9 appearances, 3 goals, Orlando City. There's just too much competition in those striking positions.
He was another guy who looked like he could be getting his shit together, possibly get another call up. He had a decent year with Orlando. But other than that, he just hasn't been involved. He's not going to be there. Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
Yep.
Yep.
But who do we have next? Zachary.
Is this Goulart?
Yeah, that's him. It looks like.
Squad.
I mean, I don't think
he's in and out of it. Right? He's often in and out of the Canadian squad.
I feel like Herdman's comfortable with the 2 right backs we have in Larea and Johnson. I think he's good at getting a new passport for this World Cup.
For this one, yeah, this is a scenario we need 2026.
How old is he again? He's 22, 23?
24. He's older than Johnson.
Yeah. That's rough for him.
I full disclosure, I probably should have made a 2026 tier, but oh well. Consider this a 2026 tier as well.
To be fair,
there definitely should have been another tier in here for sure. I'd agree.
Oh, absolutely. But too late.
Too late.
Because Cornelius does not deserve a new passport.
Charles Andres Brim, forward. Yeah, he's 7 appearances, 1 goal for FC Eindhoven.
He's a squad player for me. He's having a decent season with Eindhoven. He's constantly in the Canadian squad, whether he subbed on or not. To me, he's a squad player.
I'm worried about him long term with how his move to the upper levels in Holland didn't work out, and he's at that age where it's like you got to make that move now to define what your career is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Herdman likes him. He's been in squads. He's played in games. So if we're trying to predict what the squad will be, I would say squad player.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I can agree. Yep.
All right, next. Mark Anthony Kay, and he is a huge debate I find upon Canadian fans. He's a little hot-headed. He might not be always up to the task, but Herdman seems to like him. I'm Never been really sold on him. He's one Canadian guy I always forget about, even when he's on the pitch, unless he got that red card.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I don't want to see him at the World Cup.
Get a new passport.
Yeah.
We might
I like him.
One,
He's a good player, but that red card just showed he's not ready.
That could have been his end, yeah. And he's what, 27?
28.
28, so
yeah,
Mark Anthony Kaye. I won't be surprised to see him go. I just don't want to see him there personally.
Is that Jonathan Osorio up next?
Yes.
That is Osorio.
It's my boy Ozo. I think he's going to be if he's fit, if he's mentally fit, I think he's going to be a starter because he's reliable. Super consistent, super reliable. But I could still see him as an impact sub, but I think that reliable. You know what you're going to get with him.
Yeah, sometimes I question his ability when it comes to bigger teams. I think sometimes Mexico and the US expose him when we rely on him. But in the MLS, he's had a very good season. If he's healthy, I don't know how much he starts, but I think he gets at least one. So I'm okay with putting him in starter.
I mean, I kind of same as Hutchinson here. Like, do you want to be relying on a guy who's basically not played football since July as a starter in the World Cup?
Yeah, well, he's one we'll have to see.
But he's also
especially given the nature of it.
You gotta remember too, these guys are professionals and they know the World Cup's coming. It's not like Osorio is sitting on his ass right now.
Yeah,
but like
Osorio's come back from injuries before and played some pretty high-profile games and performed. So he was very instrumental in the Champions League run for Toronto. Yeah. He's super high-pressure scenarios, and he's come back from injuries to do it. So I think it's someone that you can rely on to come back well. But
and like we said as well, like he's a reliable player. With his age though, like age isn't really a worry to him because he seems to get better. Like the last 2 seasons, he stepped it up a lot.
I personally think impact sub because like I've been saying, like you can't just put every central midfielder or every defender in the same position. We've got a squad to work with here. Like I think he'd be an impact sub to bring on. But
I agree with that. I'll put him in sub.
I'm happy with starter or impact sub either way. Like I want to see him on that pitch because I just think that
I'm okay with that.
If Herdman knows what he wants, he'll be able to get it out of Osorio. Like you can put him on there, tell him to do something. Whether or not he's not there to score the goals, but he is there to try to create some chances. So
and not take the penalties if they get to a shootout.
I'll still. There are a lot of people I'll have not take penalties before him, but I'm not going to talk about it.
They all play for Toronto.
All right, next we have
Junior
another guy up there with Hutchinson and Victoria. He's been there for so long. The thing with Hoylett, is unfortunately he didn't play with Canada when he was younger. He was a guy who got into the squad at a little bit older of an age, but ever since then he has been a solid player that we expect to see there. And when he's not there, we question it. To me, Hoylett, I would like to put him in Leeds, but I can't. I'd put him as a starter, but in that between.
Yeah. I can live with that.
When I was making this list, Hoylett was the exact player I had in mind when it came to impact sub. Like when I thought impact sub, I thought Junior Hoylett. I just immediately thought of like his performances against the US at Hamilton, and when he came on against Jamaica in that game, he scored. And like he's very productive for Canada. 14 goals, 14 assists. He plays at a decent level with Reading.
Yeah,
I think he'd be a great impact sub for Canada to bring on the World Cup. He's Mr. Impact sub in my eyes.
The reason I have him as a starter is, I mean, you go back to the Uruguay and Qatar game. He started one of those for sure, maybe both. I could be wrong on that. He's a player that we know we can rely on. And say we get blown out of the water in Belgium, you know he's starting the next game. I think that's almost guaranteed.
For me, it's just like, who do you play him in front of? Like, who do you drop for him?
Depends on the game, because I don't know if you've noticed this, but when it comes with Herdman and Hoylett, it's really game-to-game basis. They judge him on the game they're coming up against.
Yeah.
I can see him starting against a team like Morocco or even Belgium to show like a leadership role in a sense as well, because he's good at what he does.
But would you start him in front of Buchanan on the right wing?
Again,
Buchanan has shown he can do it on the big stage against like teams like Atletico Madrid.
So, Hoylett's another guy you can play wherever. He doesn't have to be on the wing. We've seen him in a more center role.
Yeah, I traditionally vision him as more of an attacking.
It really depends. Like it depends on the game. Hoylett adapts to the game, and he adapts to what Herdman wants.
I gotta keep him in the starter because I do agree with Michael. I think he will start, but I agree with you, Paul. I always think of him coming on impact But I think at least one of the 3 games he will start.
So starter.
I could sit him right in
Impact
between,
sub.
but
Well,
either way.
Okay, so you say impact sub. I say starter.
I say starter.
Starter. Okay,
So-
there you go, Mr.
We're gonna end
John.
up fielding 2 teams at this rate.
Yeah,
That's okay.
that's okay. Yeah,
And
we'll put 22 people on the field. That's fine.
next is
The moment you've all been waiting for.
Fuck it.
Scott fucking Arfield. I want to say
So
I am a huge fan of this guy.
Paul,
I
yeah.
absolutely
Paul's
love him.
absolute favorite player. He was like so amped to put him in the squad. So like I think Paul, he was saying that he wanted him into the Davies tier.
So we hear some disclaimers. We know he's retired, but we decided to put him as a wild card because it's not uncommon for players to be retired, and then when the World Cup comes up, they suddenly unretire. Like we know he said, I'm not the squad anymore, but he's also said you never say never. And Canada's got a couple of injury problems in midfield, so we've decided to humour the idea of putting Scott Arfield in here, like hypothetically saying he's unretired. The man, to be fully transparent, I find him to be a very punchable man. He has a stupid wee face with a stupid wee salute celebration. He just gives me big.
Look,
he plays for Rangers. If you're not aware, and that's Paul's favorite team.
I'm a huge Arfield fan. Okay, he's one of my favorite all-time Canadian players. And when he retired, that sucked. I didn't like it, but we saw it coming. He wasn't getting called to a team quite enough before that, so I understood why he said, "Okay, I'm done." Paul, you're right. It's not uncommon to see players come back, but I don't think he's one of them. If he was to be, I think we would have saw him at the last friendlies. Unfortunately, as much as I love Scott Arfield,
he's not going to be
there.
No, I think it's more admirable to be like, I don't want to play. And instead of wasting a spot for a call up where he's like, I don't want to be there. Like he's like, you know what? No, I'm done.
And quite honestly, I'm tired of seeing posts asking where Scott Arfield was from all these fans. It's like, where were you the last fucking 2 years? Then you know where Scott Arfield was.
Yeah, he hasn't been on the fucking field forever.
He was losing league titles.
Because he gets one fucking goal in a 7-1 loss. Fuck off. I love the guy, but I'm sorry.
That game went downhill quick. So yeah,
I love the guy. Get fucking real.
Yeah,
I love that. I didn't even have to say what I wanted to put him.
It's just how it is. It might be a wild card, but it's just you got to be real in that.
Now we finish up with
Mr. Spoon,
David Witherspoon, who plays for the Scottish juggernauts known as St Johnstone. He actually they would have won 2 cups with St Johnstone not too long ago. They won the League Cup and the Scottish Cup in the same year, the first time since like the 80s, the early 90s. A club outside Celtic or Rangers had done the cup double in Scotland, so he's got that going for him.
So let's just. Well, before we put him somewhere, we have our 26 players at the World Cup in our squad or up. So it really comes down to, is there anyone you would put him in over?
No.
Now, if he wasn't injured the last while, I think we could have put him in over someone like Brime, Waterman, Pia type scenario. But the problem is he hasn't played for Canada in so long, we don't know where he sits because he was a regular squad player. He was at every fucking game until his injury.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right.
So I think with being fit, he's at the World Cup, but you have to choose someone who comes out, and I don't know who to choose.
Yeah, you're right. It comes down to who would you put him in front of, and to be blunt, St Johnstone are shite. I'll be a Scottish football expert here. St Johnstone are just a bunch of hammer throwers. So if he was anything more about him, he wouldn't be playing for St Johnstone at this age in his career. I think, let's put him in getting the passport.
26?
30s.
He's in his 30s now. Yeah. Unfortunately,
you can't then just all of a sudden pick him when he hasn't had any time with the national team. Not right before that doesn't make sense.
Can we use he's injured logic to keep him out of the squad, but also keep Hutchinson and Azorio where they are though?
Yeah, you can't because those guys have bigger names and bigger accomplishments.
They also
players to begin with.
Well, yeah, they you look at their appearance differences.
Yeah.
They come back. They've had injuries before. He can rely on them. He knows them. It's just how it is. But
Witherspoon has made 10 appearances for Canada, so not that many.
Like I said, he was a regular squad guy. He was never necessarily sub, but he was a regular squad guy, and Herdman loves him. Herdman brings him every camp for a reason.
Yep.
And there we go. There's our beautiful looking squad. We've fought, we've cried, we've hit the ground. some of us we've logged out.
Now,
dropped off in anger.
Someone could surprise us and maybe take somebody off. But this is who we have for now, and I'm okay with it. I mean, I think we got a decent squad. I think we got a squad that won't be pushed around. And I think we have a squad where maybe we could steal some points.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out the video here, or there, wherever it is. And make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our sweet, sweet Canadian content.